You ever walk into a room and just know, deep down, that nobody in there sees you for who you really are? Yeah, that's how it started at exactly 10:17 on a Tuesday morning, when Clara Carter, 50-something, plain clothes, hair neatly pinned, strolled right into the Sterling Corp boardroom like she owned the place. And in a way, she did. Only nobody in that room had a clue yet. The laughter that broke out when she walked in, you'd think they were watching stand-up. Ryan Sterling, CEO, all Harvard polish and family money, didn't even bother to hide his smirk. "You must be in the wrong room, ma'am." You know, the type voice like ice, words that hang in the air, just begging for an audience. But Clara didn't flinch. She just set her thick file her whole life, in a sense right in the middle of that gleaming glass table. It was like someone killed the music at a party. You could feel all those little judgments in the air, the whispers, the way these men in sharp suits measured her up and wrote her off before she'd even spoken. She let them simmer in it for a second. Then she said, calm as a surgeon, "I'm exactly where I need to be." And that was the first crack right there, in their fortress of money and privilege. Let me back up a sec. Clara Carter had been walking these halls longer than most of those executives had been alive. Her Howard degree collected dust in a drawer. Her shares never did. 30 years ago, when Sterling Corp was barely keeping the lights on, it was Clara, yeah, the invisible one who invested her life savings, the one who kept the dream alive when nobody else believed. Only she did it on one condition: keep her name out of the headlines, her face out of the press, because back then, a black woman co-owning a tech company might as well have been a death wish for funding. So she let Thomas Sterling, yeah, Ryan's dad, play the public face, while she became the quiet shadow in the background, the ghost in every shareholder meeting. She watched, she waited, she remembered. All the time security stopped her at the door, demanding to know who she was there to see. All the time some intern or mid-level manager shooed her toward HR, assuming she was lost, or sent her off on a wild goose chase for the boardroom. Nobody wanted to listen, but Clara kept coming anyway. She noticed who quit and why. She caught the whispered rumors about disappearing bonuses and strange contracts going to relatives. She saw the company she'd helped build start to rot from the inside, especially when Thomas died and Ryan took over, turning every meeting into a pageant of ego and ambition. But you know what's wild? The more they tried to erase her, the more she learned. She knew every secret, every little trick, every person loyal to the old ideals who'd been tossed aside for not bowing to Ryan. She watched all these guys slap each other on the back, convinced they ran the world. What they didn't see coming was the day Clara would walk in and upend everything. That day, the boardroom was tense gray suits, expensive watches, everyone talking about layoffs like they were trading cards. Ryan's voice carried above the rest, cold and casual, deciding who deserved to keep a job and who didn't. Clara sat quietly, listening. That night at home, she spread out every document she'd saved over the years: share certificates, partnership memos, and, most important, a yellowed letter from Thomas. "If you ever see Sterling Corp lose its soul, stand up. They'll need you." And that was it. No more waiting. The next morning, Clara walked into the meeting and dropped that file on the table. When the laughter stopped and people leaned in, she started laying out her cards. Ownership docs, legal papers signed by Thomas, notarized, certified, all official. Ryan's face shifted to arrogance, to confusion, to barely concealed panic. "This is absurd." "Security," he barked, but the longest-serving board member, Martha Donovan, stopped him cold. "Every document's legit. This is Thomas's signature. She owns controlling interest." Lawyers were called, papers verified, every page scrutinized. The general counsel's voice shook when he confirmed it. "Mrs. Carter is the rightful owner." The mood flipped. Suddenly, Clara, the woman nobody ever bothered to notice, had the whole boardroom in her hands. But she wasn't done. She pulled up proof of Ryan's embezzlement offshore accounts, fraudulent contracts, slashed benefits, and gutted R&D budgets, all to line the pockets of his friends. One by one, she put every betrayal up on the big screen. And that's when Jake, the youngest accountant, stood up, his voice trembling. "I was told to keep quiet, but it was all Ryan. I can't let this go on. His words broke the spell. Executives rifled through their files, realizing Clara had them all dead to rights. No more jokes, no more sneers. Clara called for a vote to suspend Ryan, to put all implicated execs on leave, to stop the layoffs, and to launch a full audit. The board, shaken and ashamed, voted with her. Ryan's grip broke in that instant. Stormed out, papers clenched in his fists, the old guard trailing behind him, never once meeting Clara's eyes. But let's be real, power doesn't die quietly. Within hours, Ryan had lawyers crawling through the bylaws, media blasting out stories about a black woman's hostile takeover, investors calling for stability, rumors exploding about Clara's real motives. On social media, hashtags trended with ugly questions. What did a black woman know about running a billion-dollar firm? Was this all a scam? Worse, Ryan tried to sabotage the company accounts. Frozen, payroll crashed, IT under cyber attack. Clara's leadership was tested by fire, but she stood up and addressed every employee, told the truth, shared the plan, laid out the recovery in detail. No empty promises. Martha and Jake backed her up, and for the first time in Sterling Corp history, people felt seen. Rebecca, a former admin, used the new scholarship program to switch careers from copying papers to coding security systems. Clara made a point of visiting every floor, eating with engineers and maintenance staff, really listening to what people needed. Eventually, Ryan went too far. When he tried to destroy the company's servers, the IT team caught him and his right-hand man, Logan, red-handed. The FBI swooped in. The real deal, not just corporate security, and within days, Ryan was indicted for fraud, sabotage, and extortion. News crews camped outside Sterling Corp. Headlines screamed, and for the first time, Clara's name was spoken with respect, not suspicion. When the dust settled, Clara was voted unanimous. No more doubts, no more sideways glances. She kicked off sweeping reforms. Equity shares for every employee, scholarships for underrepresented kids, R&D budgets restored, pay and benefits raised. The culture flipped. Transparency, fairness, real opportunity. Even the press grudgingly admitted the turnaround was something nobody could have predicted. Revenue bounced back, the stock soared, applications flooded in. The old portraits of power faded, replaced by Clara's simple handbag, now in a glass case by the company's new logo, the names Thomas Sterling and Clara Carter side by side. And on the one-year anniversary, she stood in a sunlit atrium, hundreds of faces in the crowd no longer skeptical, but proud, inspired, united. No one has the right to judge you for who you are. If you have the will, you can change your world. Thunderous applause. The invisible had become indelible. So tell me, how many Claras are still out there, working in silence, waiting for their moment to step into the light? What does real justice look like where you work, where you live? Drop your thoughts below, share your story, and if you want to see more like this, you know what to do. Hit like, share with your friends, and keep the conversation going. Because sometimes the people you overlook are the ones who will save you in the end.